Hello, people. No, I'm kidding. Hey, guys, it's me, Army Wife 101. Again, no intro. Let's just say I've been really, really, really lazy, but you get the point. You're getting the videos, and that's what's important. So today, it's what I call a little bit of Fun Friday, and as you know, all of you who are in the Army Wife 101 fan page on Facebook, thank you. Um, we do a question of the day, and yesterday's question of the day was in regards to whether or not you're part of your husband's FRG unit, and if you aren't, why not? We had so many replies, and what I found was in reading all of the answers that the majority of the spouses said that the reason they're not part of the FRG in their husband's unit is because they feel it's either cliquish or just too much drama. Now, let me just give you the lowdown. For those of you who don't know, FRG stands for the Family Readiness Group. And all that does is basically it's a way to kind of keep the families of the soldiers informed. It's kind of gotten a bad rap because normally it's run by only females, which most of the time we're the majority of who's the spouses of the soldiers. Um, it's it's the cliche that it's always run by a officer's wife, and they have teas and croissants and you know bake sales and all this stuff. And in some cases that's true, but that's not always the situation. I've been part of an FRG that the head of it was like a lower enlisted's wife, and there's nothing wrong with that. And a lot of people feel that officers' wives shouldn't always be the head of it. But what people don't know, there's always a procedure to everything, but it's not always the way you think. So let me give you why it is important to be part of your FRG. Now, nobody's saying that you have to come to your husband's unit and be part of everything and go to bake sales and do teas and do events and all that. You do not have to do that. The FRG is absolutely voluntary. You do not have to, you know, be part of all that. But why it is good is because the FRG gives you a lot of information that I know from doing what I do with Army Wife 101, a lot of wives need help on. A lot of times, if you go to your FRG, yes, I have my Starbucks in now. If you go to your FRG, they can give you help on many of the issues that sometimes spouses come to a new duty station with and they have no clue. And I mean, it can be pretty helpful. Um, when I came here, I didn't hear from my FRG for about 2, 3 months after I got here. Wait, hell, it might be more than that. Actually, I got here in March of '09. I didn't hear from my FRG until like June or July. But it turned out we had just got a new commander. His wife was kind of new to this, and she apologized. And this is the commander's wife. And I've met her. She's brought me an orchid to my house. She's the sweetest person, very down to earth, just real cool, you know. And she pretty much told me, she was like, well, she told my husband that she hadn't got a chance to go around because there's so many people in the unit or the particular company. It's hard to kind of keep track of everybody. But this is why I tell spouses, for one, when you arrive at your duty station, your husband usually should get some kind of form where he can kind of fill out his wife's name and email, and you'll be placed on the list. But if not, stay on top of him about that. Because normally when your husband deploys, it is the FRG who's going to give you all that juicy information you want to know. What your spouse is doing down there, not as far as gossip wise what he's doing, but what's going on down there, how they're doing. A lot of times I know in the FRGs I've dealt with, they usually will have like little get-togethers, and they'll have a slideshow, at a building on post, and you'll probably get to see your soldier in the slideshow. They usually do get-togethers where they make stuff for the soldiers. Here they did like handy lays, they've done cards, so they always have stuff. And also, it's a way to keep your kids and yourself a little active, or at least once in a while have something to do. Where I'm at, they've had Easter egg hunts, potluck dinners, um, like Christmas parties. There's stuff that even if you don't go out on a constant basis, it's nice to have that one or two events to look forward to. Now, not by any means do you have to go. I'm guilty of not going, and it's not because I don't want to deal with my FRG. It's just usually I have something to do. I'm just not in the mood, and that's perfectly fine. But don't just not go based on what you hear. The best way to deal with your FRG and to learn about it is to actually deal with it yourself. We tend to hear what people say, but every FRG is different. Some of them are small, some of them are big, and I'm not going to sit here and pretend that there aren't cliques in many of them. But you have to learn how to decipher what's what and what you're going to put yourself in the midst of. I know for me, Army Wife 101 does not tolerate BS by any means. So I know the kind of people I like to deal with. I know that I don't do the drama, I don't do the gossiping, and I'm just not up for it. And if people, I'll sit there and I'll be polite and I'll smile and I'll talk to you. But when I see that group come together and they start chatting and the cattiness, mm-mm, no, I don't deal with it. And I don't deal with it. And I might not say nothing, there at the moment, but I know not to put myself in that predicament with those specific group of people. But I will not generalize everybody else. It's that specific group of people. Now, unfortunately, it's those types of people, the chatty Cathys, that give the impression that all FRGs are bad, and they're not. But they're extremely important. They have so much information sometimes that honestly it's hard to get anywhere else. The way the Army is set up, and I'm talking specifically about the Army, information changes so much. It's so sporadic and spread out that it's hard to keep up with all what's going on. So when you join your FRG, they send out emails. They tell you about programs going on post. For instance, my husband's deployed. I have something called a Blue Star card. This card gets me discounts at so many places. Even when we have like carnivals and stuff on post, which can be kind of pricey, I get to go for free. They even had an event a couple of months back where the local bank on post, you could actually go take your kids, schedule a private session, and like do a webcam video for your husband with your kids. So they have lots of different things. They even tell you about financial programs going on post. AER loans, stuff like that people don't know about. In the event of an emergency, you can go get an interest-free loan. It's through the Army, Army Emergency Relief Fund. And this is the stuff that ACS on post will tell you about, but that the FRG will kind of, keep in your ear so that you can remember it. Important things. And definitely, as I mentioned before, and this is one last thing because I'm almost at 8 minutes. One thing I've seen spouses do, and I would laugh at it because I was guilty of it last deployment. You don't see these spouses at any of the other meetings at all. But the minute the end of deployment hits, oh my God, you could barely get a seat at the meeting hall when we have like a meeting. Oh, every spouse in the world is there because they want to know, and rightfully so. But I think that spouses sometimes have a tendency, and I've seen it firsthand, and I speak the truth, to complain, oh, well, we didn't get this. We weren't informed of that. We didn't know this. But you don't want to be part of the FRG. I've seen spouses who don't even want to be on the email list. How hard is it to delete an email if you don't want to receive it? But chances are, by you not wanting to be on that email list, is why you didn't get the information you should have gotten because of things like that. Sometimes we have to make calls that we don't want to make. Sometimes some spouses have an attitude. Well, you want to be informed? This is, what it is. So I say, put yourself on the list. If they call you asking you to volunteer, politely say, no, I'm not, interested, or I have, other things I'm doing at the time. But I would like to stay informed. If there's a meeting, let me know. And that's all you have to do. If you want to volunteer and you feel like you got some good ideas, join. Bring it to the forefront. You never know. You could possibly change how people look at the FRG. So with that said, I'm Army Wife 101. By the way, I just had my site switched over to WordPress, so still has some glitches that's being worked on at the moment, but I'll be posting this video soon. If you have questions, email me at Crystal, Krystel, at armywife101.com, and I hope you come back and visit me soon. Bye-bye.